Welcome to All This Math. This is Professor Parker, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of work with linear equations and writing the equation of a line when given some information about the graph of the line, right? Sometimes you'll be given an actual graph and you'll be asked to write the equation of the line that can describe that line. Sometimes you'll be given information about the line. Sometimes you'll be given the equation and you'll have to graph it. But right now, today, what we're doing is we're going to determine what the equation of a line is that passes through these two given points. All right? So, first thing we want to do is think about what we need, right? We want to end up with an equation that is in this format, right? We're going to use the slope-intercept form, right? We could use standard form, but typically we use the slope-intercept form. That's the most popular form of an equation of a straight line, right? And that, of course, is y equals mx plus b, right? If you don't know that, memorize it, right? That's one of the ways to describe the equation of a line. It's actually very valuable equation. It actually deals with time and value, which is something that we all should be concerned with, because we all should be concerned with value and we all should be concerned with time, because time is the only thing we can't get more of. You know, we can get money, we can lose money, spend money, make it back. Time, you can't get no more time, right? So anyway, this equation kind of represents that. I don't want to get too esoteric, but it does. But anyway, for the purposes of this problem, we're going to use this equation. All right, our final answer is going to be in this format. Our final answer is going to be in this format. Y equals mx plus b. Now, whenever I want to write the equation of a line, I need two pieces of information. I need to know what m is, and I need to know what b is, right? I need to know what m is, and I need to know what b is. Make sure you remember that. You need to know what m is, and you need to know what b is. Now, what is m? What does m represent? M represents the slope of the line. Basically, the slope tells you how flat or how slanted the line is. All right, that's basically it. It also tells you the rate of change of the values of the values and the points on the line. All right. B. What is B? B is something we call the y-intercept. B is the value of y when x is 0. Also, in terms of the graph, if we were looking at this visually, right, it's the point where the line crosses the y-axis. That's what B is. Now, how do we figure these things out? Because we don't know. This is not given information, right? We don't know what m is. We don't know what b is. But I got a formula for that, right? I got a formula for m. This is called the slope formula that I also suggest you memorize. The slope formula. So m equals delta y divided by delta x. That's something you're probably going to see when you take physics, right? Delta y divided by delta x. But what does delta y and delta x actually mean? Delta, the Greek letter for change, the change between two different things, right? That's what it represents to us, right, mathematically. Like if a number starts out, if the temperature starts out at 40 degrees in the morning, and then in the afternoon it's 55 degrees, the change was 15 degrees, because it went from 40 to 55. That's 55 minus 40. That's the change, right? That's what delta stands for. That's what we're going to figure out. So this really means that the second y value minus the first y value divided by the second x value minus the first x value. That's the slope formula. That's the formula that you need to memorize. This is very important. Memorize this formula. Do yourself a favor. Real talk. Do yourself a favor. Memorize this formula. Y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I'm so serious. Memorize this. Y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. All right? Now, next question you should probably have is, well, what's y2? What's y1? What's x2? What's x1? What are all these letters? Now, one of the main complaints people have about algebra is that, or really math in general, is they say, math was cool until the letters got introduced. Once, I like the numbers, but when the letters came in, that's when I couldn't really dig math no more. All right, cool. Watch this. The thing we're going to do now is we want to get rid of the letters, actually, right? We're going to replace all four of these letters with four numbers. Where they come from? These 2 points. All right? So in this point, we have an x value and a y value. In this point, we have an x value and a y value, right? So x, y, x, y. Remember, in a point, you have coordinates that are in alphabetical order. X comes first, y comes second. Now, this is my first point. So therefore, it should make sense that this will be my x1, because this is my first point. Whereas right here, this is my second point. Right? Now a point is made up of both numbers, right? This point is made up of both numbers. So I told you it goes x and y, x and y. So this is x1, so this will be y1. Then over here, this is my second point, so this is my x2, and this is my y2. So that's how I know, that's where I'm going to get the numbers from that are going to go into the slope formula. That's where they're going to come from. They're going to come from the point, right? The first point I wrote, that's my first point, so that's x1 and that's y1. The second point I wrote, that's x2 and that's y2. So now I do this. y2 was 7. So now I write 7. Then I write a minus sign. y1 was 1. So I write a 1. x2 was 3. So I write a 3. Then I write a minus sign. x1 was 1. Man, I need lotion. Anyway. All right. So 7 minus 1 is... Nah, seriously, you ever just notice like you just be ashy? You just notice that sometimes? Anyway, it distracts me when I'm doing things. All right. 7 minus 1 is 6, right? 3 minus 1 is 2, right? So now, we got 6 divided by 2, right? We can simplify this. This is a fraction, and we can reduce or simplify. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that means my slope is 3. That's one of the pieces of information I need to answer this question and determine the equation. I got half of the information I need. Now I just need to find B. All right? Now I showed you how to find M. This is how you find M anytime you see a problem like this and you're given 2 points. This is how you find it. Whether you're given the points written out like this or whether you're given a graph and you have a line drawn. Then you have to identify your own points from the line and then use those 2 points to plug into the formula. Unless you look at the graph and just count, okay, how far up is this point away from the next point vertically, and how far horizontally is this point away from the next point horizontally. That's another way to find the slope, but we'll do that on another video when I actually show a graph, all right? But for now, we know what the slope is. We use the slope formula to find out what the slope is. Now we need to find out what B is, all right? We got to find out what B is. B is my y-intercept. Now this is how you find B, right? When you know points and you know the slope. You plug in numbers for every letter you know except B, because we don't know B. We know Y and we know X. In case you're wondering, we got 2 examples of Y and X. That's a Y and that's an X. That's a Y and that's an X. Now you might be wondering like, okay, but how do I know which one to use? That's an excellent question. How do you know which one to use? The answer to that question is, it don't matter. It don't matter. What I typically like to do in order to try to keep my math as simple as possible, I typically look for the points that have the smaller numbers. Because usually the smaller your numbers are, the less complicated the math is going to be. Right? So I see 1 and 1, I'm going to use this all day. I'm not messing with the 3 and the 7. Even though 3 and 7 are not really big numbers, but I'm going to just keep life simple and just use 1 and 1. So what I want to do is I'm going to rewrite this equation, but I'm going to plug in or replace all the letters that I know values for. I'm going to replace them. So I know what Y is because I'm using this point right here, right? I'm using this point. So in this point, Y is 1. So when I rewrite the equation, I'm going to write 1. The Y got replaced with a 1. Again, because I'm using this point right here. And in this point, Y is 1, right? I'm not dealing with this point. This point is irrelevant right now because I made the decision, just like you as a student are going to make as a decision, you're going to make the decision to pick one of the points, right, that you want to use. If you wanted to use this second point, then you wouldn't have wrote 1. You would have wrote 7. But I chose to use this point, all right? Then I write my equal sign. Now M. I know what M is because we just did all this work to figure out what M was. M is 3. Now, 3 times x, right? 3mx means m times x. So in the place of m, I got 3. So in the place of x, I'm going to have my x value from the point that matches up with the y. And then I got plus b. All right? Now I'm going to do some algebra. I'm trying to solve for b. So I'm going to do 3 times 1, which is 3. I'm simplifying everything first. And now I'm trying to get b by itself on the right side of this equation. So I'm going to get rid of this 3. I got to get rid of this 3. This is a positive 3. What's the opposite of a positive 3? A negative 3. So I'm going to do minus 3 right here. But, again, equations, algebra, all about balance. We're all about balance, right? So I got to do the same thing over here. Subtract 3. 3 minus 3, 0. That's gone. That's what I wanted to happen. Now, what's 1 minus 3? Make sure we know how to add and subtract positive and negatives. 1 minus 3, negative 2. 1 minus 3, negative 2. Negative 2 equals b. Now I got the 2 pieces of information that I need in order to write the equation of this line. Now I just got to do the last step, which is write the equation. Remember, it's going to be in this format. So I'm going to write y. Now, in my answer, I'm only going to replace the letter m and the letter b, or the variable m and the variable b. I'm not replacing y. I'm not replacing x, because I need there to be a y and an x there. I need that. I need a number for m and a number for b. So I'm going to have y equals, my m was 3, x, and I'm going to have minus 2. Now, hold on. Let me explain something. Because somebody might be thinking about this. The equation says y equals mx plus b. So hold on, professor. Why you got minus 2 right there? What you doing? This is why. Because b is negative. B is a negative 2. So I kind of like simplified things. I could have wrote y equals 3x plus negative 2. But that's the same thing as doing minus 2. Just like saying 3 plus negative 2 is the same thing as saying 3 minus 2. Regular old, since first grade or second grade or kindergarten, 3 minus 2. They're the same thing. You know what I mean? All right. So this right here is the answer. And this process that we just went through is duplicatable. Whenever you're given information about a line and you're given 2 points, these are the steps that you can follow. Any and every time. These are the steps that you can follow. All right? And this is the equation of the line that goes through the points 1, 1, and 3, 7. All right? So, I hope you learned something new. If you did, like the video, share the video, send it to somebody, subscribe to the page if you haven't already. And just remember, it's all this math all around you. Peace.